Hi, I'm Ryan Szymanski, curator for Battleship, New Jersey Museum and Memorial. Today, for my manly feat of strength, we're going to be doing a turret crawl. I'm going to start here in one of the powder magazines. We're going to go all the way up through the inside of one of the gun turrets and out the top. This door leads to turret number 1, as does the scuttle. This magazine is, in fact, designed for turret number 1, but it's significantly larger than the ones for turret 2, which are pushed off to the side. The magazine is actually 2 stories tall, with powder from the upper story being lowered down to here, where it can be passed through the roller doors to inside the barbettes. Notice the chilled water radiator system overhead. This is an original design feature to keep the powder magazines cool. There's also a I-beam overhead. Here's one of the smaller magazines that was actually associated with turret number 2. Notice it has not been restored like the one I was in. So we are now outside of the barbette for turret number 2. These roller doors are feeding from the magazine towards the barbette. Notice there are 2 layers of them, so that if there's an explosion in one side or the other, it has to go through 2 layers. It can't just blow through one. The I-beam overhead is for transporting powder and shells if needed. They can be slung up, or heavy equipment if needed. You might also see some immersion tanks near the powder. That way, if one of the silk bags rips, you can dunk it in seawater to render it inert. You can also see the fire suppression system, the red piping, all around the space. Now we are inside the barbette of the turret. This is one of only 2 ways in, through these doors at the bottom, or through the inside of the turret at the top, which will come out at the other side. I'm opening a hatch in the bottom of the barbette and descending from 5th deck down to 6th deck. This space seems to be a bunch of storage compartments. You'll also see that there was an old World War II era pipe rack down here. I have no idea if that is an actual design requirement. If somebody had to sleep down here to start lighting off power and stuff if needed. Here I'm looking into the catacombs that are under this space and connect this with other parts. One of these days we'll crawl through them as a separate video. But yeah, that pipe rack down there could have been an actual assigned thing, or it could have just been some industrious gunner's mate looking for somewhere to take a nap when he was on duty. I'm not entirely sure. In the future, I'll explore the other turrets and see if they have something similar. That ladder behind me led up to the mezzanine deck. The stairwell in front of me was added by the museum. These are the powder hoists and the inside of the roller doors to get powder. Here's the hoist operator's booth. Each of the barrels has its own hoist and its own hoist operator's booth. Continue to see the red piping for fire suppression. That is how you could flood this space if needed. Here are some powder bags in a hoist. And here is the ladder to climb up the wiring trunk to get from down here on 5th deck up to some of the other levels of the turret. Because we're in turret 2, there is this mezzanine deck all around us, which could have housed additional shells. These shells could not readily be fed to the hoists to get up to the guns. However, they were here as extra if needed. The Iowas carried about 130 rounds per barrel, which is about 30 more rounds than a normal ship.
So now we are on 4th deck. This is the lower shell deck. I'm closing the hatch under me so that I don't fall through it when I walk around. Here are some of the hoists at the forward part. You can see some of the shells. There's an air gap between the barbet and the ship, which you can see better here in this door that the museum has cut. This is how visitors on our Turret 2 tour enter the turret. It was not there when sailors used it. There's the ladder that we cut and a fan that we added because there is no ventilation in this space. Now I'm going from the lower shell deck to the upper shell deck. If needed, both of these spaces could be manned at once, and they could be alternating feeding shells into the hoists. You can actually stack 4 or 5 shells up in the hoist so that as they're calling for them in the turret, they can just keep taking them. The issue is you cannot change those shells out easily if they have to go from high capacity to armor piercing or vice versa. All of these ladders lead up to where the power and machinery for the rotating and elevating the turrets is. It's extremely tight up there, so there are multiple access points to get to your station. You cannot readily move around from one part to another because all of the equipment is packed in, and you'll see that here in just a second. Also, I have no idea where the light switches are for this, or where any of the lights actually have functioning bulbs anymore. So we're going through with flashlights. This is not on our normal Turret 2 tour, so we couldn't fit a tour guide and a guest in here at once. There's a lot of electrical wiring in here. There's also a number of motors. Again, these are for rotating the turret, which weighs 2,200 tons, and also for elevating the individual barrels. Yes, it was as dark in there as it looks. I'm crawling over top of motors now to try and get to the next ladder to get me up into the gun pit.
Don't forget to timestamp me.
8:25. So I believe I'm in the gun pit at this point. It's kind of dark to tell. Should be a huge worm screw that would elevate the barrel. There's a storage compartment on the forward end of the pit, and there's also some room in the lower end where things like bore brushes and other stuff would be kept. And the pit is cut out a little bit so that at maximum elevation the barrel can recoil. All right, so this is me about to climb the ladder up out of the gun pit. There's this nice handle here at the top, but then nothing to grab except the spanner tray once you get above that. and the spanner tray does want to open up to feed the barrel. Notice one of our creepy mannequins. There's the powder car door. Here we've got a periscope. These do still work. If you come on board for a regular self-guided tour, you can check one of them out. Got the switchboard there. Here's a Mark III fire control computer. This is the range-finding periscope. Here's the powder car operator's booth. Here's the left barrel's gun pit. And there's a compartment like this on each side of the turret where the person turning the turret, the trainer, and the person elevating could sit. Notice this is all from the tour route and there's a lot of peeling paint. These spaces are not climate controlled at all. And so the paint doesn't hold up there too well. Here is a very heavily used bore brush. Now on the back side of the turret in the turret officer's booth, here's some of the batteries that could power the gun briefly if we lost electrical power. And here is your turret mounted rangefinder. All right, and there's the base of the conning tower. We're on the O1 level here. It's the 12-inch back plate of the turret. On the port side of the ship, here you can see the rangefinders on the outside. And now we're on the 7-inch roof of the turret. Here are our barrels. You can see our awning there. The city of Philadelphia is off to my left. I'm looking at Camden now. The Ben Franklin Bridge, the Walt Whitman is behind us. And there's the Battleship's Bridge. Walking out onto one of the rangefinder projections. The Battleship's pier. About where I'm standing right now is where the 40 millimeters would have been mounted during World War II in Korea. And this 62 was painted on the turret top in Vietnam. It was not there in the 80s, but the museum chose to replace it. Thanks for watching our turret crawl today. If you want to see more fun stuff like this, drop a comment down in the comment section down below and tell us what it is you'd like us to see. If you have any questions, drop them down there as well. We'll get back to you as quick as we can. Check the description below for ways you can support our YouTube channel and our museum. And thanks for watching. Remember to like, share, and subscribe so you're notified when you get more content like this.